Welcome back to Forever United TV, everybody. As you can see, I have been joined by Jay. It has been a while. We are going to go through everything that has come out of today's events. That being the press conference of Ruben Amorim ahead of the Ipswich game. Of course, his first one. We covered it live on Forever United TV earlier on with all your immediate reaction. To give you your chance again now to get some more comments in, because added to that, we've had the Gary Neville interview, which has also been released. And we're going to get into that and look ahead to the weekend with Jay. First of all, Jay, it has been a while. It has been 2 weeks of calm waters around Manchester United. A breath of fresh air. Nothing to moan about. Nothing to really criticise. No negatives at all. Even the injuries on international duty. How have you found it, mate? Have you been keenly watching events at Manchester United, or have you just been taking a back seat and just trying to chill out before what is going to be an absolute carnage next 3 months for the club with the amount of football we've got?
Adam, to be honest, I took a very welcome backseat because for the first international break in probably 10 years, I knew I could switch off, focus on my real life, and I wouldn't be looking at my timeline every day, reading the latest catastrophe or the latest bitch and moan from a player or the latest hit article by one of the esteemed journalists in the UK. So yeah, I just sat back, let it all happen, let it go over my head, because tomorrow, Adam, and the weekend, that's when the football really starts, and that's what I'm looking forward to. The off-pitch stuff, hopefully, for now, Amorim is going to have, let's just say, more control over his players than previous managers, and the off-pitch shenanigans would be a thing of the past.
That's it. Let's get straight into it. And of course, guys, make sure that you give the video a like, subscribe to the channel as well, and more importantly, get your comments in the live section. We want to get you and your opinions across. And of course, if you've got any questions for me or Jay, then fire them across. We are going to have a section in the show where we're going to get into that. But the one thing I want to pick out first of all, I pretty much covered every quote in the press conference earlier on. I've gone back and watched the press conference again. I've gone back and watched the Gary Neville interview. I feel like the Gary Neville interview was more to the bone, to be honest, Jay. And I think one of the things coming across is from that, I wanted to pick up on straight away. Not only the fact that he is going to play his way, he knows his simple instruction, he knows the right way, and that being that these players are just going to listen to him. They're going to run back. They're all going to have the same thing in their minds. I'm just going to go through a quote from the interview, Jay, and just relay it to you and let you decide what you think from it. But when Gary Neville asked Ruben Amorim what is his way, Ineos have brought Ruben Amorim in because he's got a particular way. What is that one way that he played was the question. And he said it's not so much a formation, a system. It's an understanding and an identity of what this team needs. It's like if one player loses the ball, everybody else on that team reacts exactly the same way. They all chase back. In their minds, they're all doing exactly the same thing. They're all trained to react exactly the same way. Not one individual doing a role. It's the whole team. So the identity for MJ is that this team works as a team, basically, and they need to react to certain situations as one. Is that something that you can clearly see has been missing at this team over the last few years, Jay?
But Adam, it seems so simple. In a team sport with 11 players, a team to act as a cohesive unit, in unison, act as one. We haven't had it in years. It's so basic, it's so simple, and we haven't had it because previous managers have let the individual players play for themselves, and there was no team unit, there was no cohesive. It was almost, when somebody made a mistake, it was like, as long as it wasn't my mistake, I don't care, it's your mistake. And I suppose there's no accountability. Now, I think his halftime team talks are already going to be about accountability, because every player, 1 to 11, is going to be accountable for every mistake. I think that long term will minimize mistakes, because players now take ownership for mistakes.
Well, that's it. And when he was saying there, in terms of the team, like everybody right now wants to play in every position. It's new, it's fresh. He made it clear in his interview that he's not being naive in the fact that these players all want to play at the moment. They all want to impress the new manager. In this moment right now, he knows that every single player is on board, but that changes obviously as the season goes on, and they're going to have a lot of downs as well. But one thing he did say in this interview is, I was a player, I know all of their tricks. If them players give everything and they play for the team, they will get praise, and they will they'll get their opportunities again and again and again. If they don't work for the team, then they will hear my voice. and they will know about it. I think that's one thing that a lot of Manchester United fans can just look at, listening to, and go, yeah, do you know what? If there's anything to take away from it, it's that. And you mentioned it there. It's the word I use all of the time, Jay. Accountability, basically, is what he's saying. It's like, if you don't work for the team, you're in trouble. If you do, and I will defend you. I will defend you all the way to the end, and I will lose my job defending you because you're giving everything to the team. Those were his exact words, Jay. And I feel like that's a manager there that if you cannot get on board with, then your career is over, surely.
Yeah, and listen, we're not going to go through the team again, but there's many players in that team that we know come next summer, they're not going to be there because they'll play well for a couple of weeks, they'll be super motivated, and then the first run of bad performances, Amorim will see from like glass, and he literally will have them on the club. So there's players they're playing for their careers.
100%. I've said that all week, mate. I've said this is key. He talked about how these players obviously have to adapt to different positions. I feel like players playing in certain positions. He was quizzed on the wing-back roles, and Neville did ask him the question of, do you play wide players as in forward players in defence, or do you play defensive players as to defend and go forward as well? And he did actually come out and say, without giving too much away, obviously he doesn't want to give everything away, but he said at first it will have to be defenders. We'll have to have wing backs defending, because it's harder to teach a forward how to defend than teach a defender to go forward and create. He didn't say pretty much to teach a defender to go forward, but he said it is ultimately harder in trying to turn a forward into a defender. So I think we can accept that we are going to see defenders out wide at first, which leaves us with quite a few players fighting for basically 3 positions up top, Jay, which is going to be interesting when it comes to it. But the one thing that came out of it that everybody's clung on to is when quizzed in the press conference himself, Jay, it was, can you teach these players how to play your system in such a short space of time? Are you willing to play a system that works best for these players and their characteristics and abilities? Or do you go down the road of playing your way and just taking what comes? 100% it's our way, he said, when alluding to him and his team and how he wants to play. These players are going to have to play Amorim ball in whatever formation they play, Jay. And that, I feel, again, another one for the fans to really cling on to. It's like, you've got to work under him, otherwise you're just not going to work at all.
And that, Adam, is what we've been asking for years. A manager's going to come in, play his philosophy, stick to it, a certain style of play, with a plan B if and when necessary, and the players either A, play it, adapt, up their game, up their intensity, or, boys, nice knowing you, see you around. That's it going forwards.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's exactly it. He said, really, when he's looking at players, when he's playing certain players in positions, he's going to have players playing in different positions. He did allude to the fact that it's not going to change too much. What he did say was, you will see players on that pitch that look very familiar and very similar to other players that you've seen in the past under Ten Hag, basically being the same players. And it looks like he's not changed much, but you will see a change in attitude. You will see an identity within these players and the way that they work together and the way that they actually play and they react to things, like we said a moment ago, Jay. It's a case of, look, you're in position, but it's not the same role as what you had before. You're going to be doing a different job because they have changed the way that these players are going to approach everything. So when bringing players in, we can see whether it's a winger at wing-back, he said, or a defender at wing-back, someone else in a certain position. No matter who it is in that position, their role is going to be exactly the same. And if you do not adapt to that role, then you'll be finding yourself having some time on the sidelines.
So is he not saying what we've been asking for years? And we actually, we're wrong. We thought Ten Hag would do it, that Ten Hag would be a systems manager. Players literally would be a round peg in a round hole. And we didn't see it because the system was modified to suit these players. We're in a context here, each player is interchangeable. You don't do a job. I have somebody on the bench in my squad do the job for you. And I think if the senior players do not adapt to his methods, do not become the aforementioned round peg and round hole, he will blood you players to do so because they're hungry. I think he'll do it.
Yep. I think so. I think he will. He said also in terms of philosophy, style of play, he wants more from the academy. He doesn't. He didn't say he didn't rate the academy, but he said it needs to be better. They need to be providing better players. So it's important that he works with Jason Wilcox, the technical director, on this side of things. And that's something that he alluded to quite a lot. He's not even thinking about recruitment right now. His whole outlook is on game by game. But the academy teams will be playing exactly the same way. They will build an identity from the ground up, and that will be the way that Manchester United play. And he went into detail on the recruitment side of things and what he needs to build in, Jay. It's like a case of they will know how I want to play within this squad. I can concentrate on them for a few months. Then when we speak to the directors, when we speak to Jason Wilcox, Dan Ashworth, people like this, they will know exactly what I want. They will know from the data what I need in a player, how much his fitness is, his stamina for this position, what his attributes are for this position. They will know exactly what type of players to go out and look for, and then I will pick from them players. He will have a big input on that, but he's using data, Jay. He's using all of the information that is being sent back to him, and again, he said that is what he's doing right now. He's trying to find the right players for the right roles to play the way he wants. He is going so far in depth on such a simple message and a simple instruction to the players because he knows everything about the players that are in them roles. And that for me already, from what he's saying there, is he's looked, he's watched, he's seen what the problems are. He actually laughed when he said everybody can see that Manchester United are pretty much not fit enough. Now that again was damning alone on the previous regime, Jay.
Adam, you and I did how many shows during Solskjaer reign, and how many times we point to these players are not fit enough? How many times? How many times have we said in shows
Nearly everyone, mate.
We can't get 90-minute performance? That watching us play, it's like watching a half-eaten pizza, because you never get the full 360 because the player's not fit enough. So it goes back to he's identifying and spotting simple basic frailties in the squad, and also he's changing the culture of the players that the fans, the in the know fans have been saying for years. So imagine to have a manager that's come in and he's only here a week, and he's pointing out the obvious things that everybody with half a brain has been saying for the last 5 years. It just shows that football at the nucleus of football is actually not that. Okay, we can go on all you want about formations and pressing styles and whatever you want, but at the basis of it, is your team fit? Will they work as a unit? And thirdly, will they play for each other? That's the essence of a team.
Yeah,
he's simple. That after 1 week, that's how easy it is.
Yeah, he said a question was asked, actually. I think it was Jamie Jackson of The Telegraph was asked in the press conference. These players are the same players that basically got Ten Hag the sack. They couldn't get the results. They weren't listening. They couldn't find a way around what Ten Hag wanted to do, basically. And what gives him the belief that these players are not going to do the same thing again? Quite a brutal question, to be honest, but one I think we would all want asking, like, what can you do? And he basically just said, again, he alluded to his week in charge. I've seen the players. I've seen them in training. They want to work hard. I've seen them work hard in training. He's happy with that. And they're willing for change. So the players right now are on board, like we said. They are willing to work hard in training and impress Ruben Amorim and show that they can play the roles that he wants them to play in his certain style and identity. But obviously he's aware that they could change in the future. So his words were, look, I can see what I can see now, and I can obviously answer the question from what I've seen, and I believe in these players. But he did make a point in saying after that I will see, though, maybe things will change and they will prove me wrong, and that will be my downfall. But they will play the way that I want them to play. Otherwise, we will find out later down the line if recruitment does come into it. Again, they're just answering what a question straightforward and sensibly, which we never had before, Jay, in saying, look, right now I can see and believe in them, but that may change. It's up to them to basically prove to him that they can continue playing.
Yeah, it's a great question asked by Jamie Jackson. And, what answer? He answered a simple question in simple tones. And previous managers, they've been given the benefit of the doubt, English not their first language, and all that bollocks. Simple question, simple answer, no fluff, no waffle. That's all we require as fans. And he's done it in one press conference right there. And if that is his tone between now and March. So if that's his tone of press conference, simple message, no bluff, no waffle. And therefore then on the training ground, he's going to be the same character with his players. You do A, you do B, you do C, we get a required result. You deviate from A, B, and C, you're on the bench, mate.
Exactly that. Love it. And it's straightforward. And when he says it's easy to understand, you can see we understand it, and he's only been here a week. If we understand it, the players surely understand it, Jay, and then we move forward from there and we start to progress, and maybe we can adapt the system. He then said, look, after that, after they learn their identity and how they play as a team, and the work rate that they put in, and they show to me that they are willing to work and change and put more effort in, then we will start to work on how they play with a back three, how they play with a back five, and adjust the formation and the systems as we go. But straight down to it, the bare bones and basics of football are what's missing at Manchester United, and I think he made that very, very clear, Jay, in that press conference today. I'm just going to get through a few comments. If you have got any questions, let us know. You got Rosin with a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Got to be two Coles, the same dead weight we have all wanted out, and the players that don't fit the new system, get them out, take no prisoners. The fact that he was alluding to recruitment, Jay, and everything about involving Jason Wilcox, the profile of player that they need, he's nowhere near that yet. He has to work with the squad and learn the players. And learn what they've got and capability-wise. I'm guessing them guys are all going to be wearing them vests. Someone came up with a great comment earlier on. He dropped one player because he wasn't going to wear the vest in training. That's how brutal and strict he actually is. But for you, Jay, in terms of these players now, like everybody says that they're willing to put the effort in. They've clearly shown that they've put the effort in because he wouldn't have said it otherwise. Which one of these players do you feel is the big at the most risk without being clearly obvious? Of who do you feel really is going to struggle with this from what you've seen? I mean, they've all been lackluster, I would say. The odd one you could pick out has put plenty of effort in, but just had no direction. But is there obvious players in there that you feel are going to struggle, that he is going to be finding out quite soon what their capabilities are?
Look, Adam, it's very easy. First week on any job, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that you knuckle down, you follow the procedures and SOPs. But ultimately, your true character, your true personality will almost come out. It does. You know, we can't hide. We can't hide who and what we are. And ultimately, the most obvious one there is I'm going to get a lot of hate because I always get hate about this guy, Rashford. Man, he'll be fantastic for 2 or 3 weeks. He'll run about, and then be one bad game, and he'll down tools. I'll tell you now, he'll down tools by January.
Okay, like I said, I know what you're saying there. I just want to make the point by saying I really hope he doesn't. I hope Amorim turns Rashford around. I hope we get more out of him. It is pure hope, though, and we can only hope that they want to be part of this project, and going forward, they are going to be big parts of Ruben Amorim's plan. But we just don't know is the honest answer to it. But we're all open for change, and we're all open for a player turning things around. That's one point I wanted to make clearly there as well. Mr. Dacia Sandero in the chat says, "Hi guys, first thing that comes across well with Amorim is his expectations. Exactly what Sir Alex demanded. A coach who believes in his players. They now have to respond with high performances." I think what he's done, Jay, is he's gone out in public, national TV, and said he believes in every single one of these players. I made a reference earlier on. I think it was, I was trying to remember the film. It might have been Dangerous Minds. It might have been, I think it might have been Sister Act, where it's a classroom full of underperforming students. She walks in to try and change their whole student life around and try and get them back on the straight and narrow, and goes straight in and says, "You've all got A's." I can't remember which film it was right now. It might have been Sister Act. I'm trying to remember it, but they've all got straight A's. And you know where I'm going with this. It's up to you now to keep them A's, and let's see if you can stay at that level. So he's gone out and he's publicly outed all of the players by saying they all want to work. So if they all want to work now and they're all on board, and he said he believes in them all, then it can only come down to them not believing in the manager if things go wrong, Jay.
Also, I think it's very smart on him as well. It's a very smart ploy, is that I'm backing every one of you publicly. You've got my backing.
Yeah.
Now go out and prove yourselves. He's putting the onus squarely back on the players. It's very smart on his behalf.
Yep. Show us what you've got, basically, is what he's saying. Show us what you've got. Another good thing that came from this, and obviously I get your opinion on this, Jay. I mean, a lot of people have, and it's only through Gary Neville bringing it back up and getting a response from Ruben Amorim. But talking about Casemiro and Marcus Rashford when they went off to the States in the international break, and Neville said, look, I'm only going to ask you this now because I've made a public statement on this, or a big public opinion on this, about not liking Rashford and Casemiro with the scenario. You've just had a manager sacked. You're 13th in the league. Things are going bad. You've got a new manager coming in. You want to impress. You want to look like you're willing to move forward, and then you take a break away. And he asked Amorim his opinion on this, and he went into a lot of detail. And Amorim, again, cleverly, I think, skirted around this a bit, but got to the point as well at the same time in saying, look, this is down to the club, not the players. The club didn't specify what the players could and couldn't do. He gave them 5 days off, basically, to go and do whatever you want. And they went and did what they wanted. He said there's different circumstances from within, but again, I think it comes down to, and he said this very word, Jay, culture, the culture of the club. This is what's allowed and what's expected. And the players are obviously going to do what they want because they've been able to do it before. And when asked about whether he thought it was too long, he said, yes, 5 days is too long. It's different for every player. If a player's injured, if a player needs a break mentally, then you would give him a bit more time. But he feels like you lose something after 3 days. If you don't train for 3 days, you kind of lose something, he said. That was his sort of cut-off mark. But he made a point in saying, again, and I've not been that bothered about the players going away. My issue was that they've been playing poorly to not be picked in their international sides and have an option to go away in the first place, Jay. But he said it's down to the club and the culture of the football club. And I thought that was quite on point with this one. I think it is modern day football. That's how I looked at it, Jay. Me and you were old school, obviously. We look at it a different way, probably similar to what Scholes and Neville did. But I look at this and say, this is down to the club. And I think Amorim has also alluded to that in that response that he gave to Gary Neville there. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the actual event of them going away, and then your thoughts on what Ruben said then, Jay.
Okay, so 5 days being detrained, even for a non-elite athlete. So you don't train 5 days in the gym. You don't train Monday to Friday. Mm-hmm. You go back then Saturday, Sunday. How many days is it before you, Adam, personally, or anybody in the live chat, are back training optimally? It's probably 3 days later. 3, probably 4 days, depending. So that's 9 days. So you're a professional athlete, so-called. You are not playing well. Your team is in a doldrums. Can you afford as a player to waste 9 days knowing a new manager is coming in? And you referenced that we're old school. Yes, Adam, we are old school. So would 5 days be better served in a training ground in Carrington, in the gym, working on your recovery, working on your deficiencies, or 5 days better spent pissing around in America? So he answered very cleverly. He said, he used the word culture. And that club culture has been a woke holiday camp culture for, I'm going to say, since Mourinho left. It went soft. And in essence, the club became soft, the culture became soft, and the players became soft. And what's happened to performances? Soft. So yeah, he's spot on. Club culture is soft.
Yeah, and modern day footballers need telling what to do and what not to do. Take the thought process out of their minds. They are programmed, I'm not going to say machines because they're anything but machines. They are programmed by the football club and the culture that is within that football club. Because he alluded to Gary Neville and he said, you will obviously say that this is a bad idea because you've come through into a culture that was built by Sir Alex Ferguson already and was in place, and automatically you look at it that way. You're going to have teammates who are questioning you. You're going to have teammates asking you why you're doing that. right here at United right now, this is one of the jobs that we have to fix. This is one of the things that has to be changed at the football club. And I think that is really how we all wanted to hear it. It's talking absolute facts and absolute sense in everything that he actually was saying in this interview and the press conference today. And I think he has charmed quite a few people again. I think he charmed the media. I think he's convinced a lot of the fans that he's the right man. Obviously, Jado, it comes down to performances now, and this is where I wanted to move on. The team, from what he said, he's going to be playing defensive players out wide, so I think we can do that. How do you see this team being picked? Because it's looking like Rashford at 9, Ahmad's done well in training, Bruno, Mount's done well, Yorol's played. Who are you picking for this team? Let's get your team now, Jay, for this game against Ipswich this weekend.
Okay, are we basing it on the fact that Yoro is fit and could actually start?
Yes. So just to break it down quickly, everybody is fit to start the game. Apart from, obviously, Lindelof, Maguire, Luke Shaw isn't fully fit yet. I'll talk about him in a minute and what Ruben Amorim has said about him as well. Luke Shaw is not fully fit yet. Everybody else, though, Jay, it's pick what you want. You've got Mainu back. You've got Euro fit. We've had nothing back. I mean, Leacher doesn't look like he's going to be available as well, Jay, so go off that.
Okay, so I'm going to put Dillit in the middle, Euro left, and I'm going to put Evans right.
Okay.
Okay, I've got Mazraoui on the left, Dallo on the right. That's my back five if he wants to do his wing backs, or that can transition to a back four with obviously Dallo pushing forward as he always does.
Mm-hmm.
In the midfield, in the two in the midfield, he will start Bruno. We know that. So I'm going to go with Bruno, Casemiro,
okay,
and Ogate.
Okay, so basically, well, in his system, Jay, you've got 2 midfielders, and then you've got a front 3. So would you be putting Bruno in as one of the false 10s then in front of the defensive 2 midfielders?
No, he's in as a false 10 because I want to see Bruno finally play in an actual system and stay in his lane and do what he's told.
Okay.
And that's what I want Bruno to see. And no, it's not going to suddenly happen overnight. It's not going to happen. Could take a month, could take 2 months. But I want Bruno, I think, with Amorim, because he does it in Portugal, will play with discipline because he'll be made play discipline.
Okay. That leaves you with 2 options then for the other 10 and a number 9. Where are we going with that?
My other 10 then is Ahmed.
Okay.
And I don't start Rashford. I play Hoyland. I see what can he actually do with the legs of Ahmed behind him, and can he hold ball up with his back to goal and bring Bruno and Ahmed into the game? I give him a chance for a couple of games, and I make an example of Rashford, and I stick him on the bench.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I get that. I see that. I see how that's working there. It's pretty much like most people was picking, barring a couple of players here and there. I think everyone's expecting Bruno and Ahmad to come in to the 10s now. I feel like that's looking like what's happened from training. That's where we're going to be going with that. I can't see Bruno being dropped anyway. Obviously, we're expecting Agate to come through. No shout for Mainu for you at all? Or do you think he's just going to stick with the players that have been playing more, Jay?
I'd like Mainu starting the bench because we've rehearsed it many times that he does blow after an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Mainu initially, until he's more mature, more impactful off the bench.
Okay. So that bench is going to be very, very strong then. You've got Rashford
as they should be. So you're sort of starting 11. You should be looking over to that bench on 50 minutes. Shit, if I don't up my game here, I'm getting hooked. We haven't had that in years because the bench has been so weak. So I stack my bench.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got Rashford there, you got Xerxes there, Antony, Mount, Mainu. Oh yeah, you've got some players there on that bench that could really make an impact. Ericsson as well. Yeah, this should be more than enough to beat Ipswich this weekend. Of course, Jay, we're going to be doing the show after the game on Sunday. What is yours? It's hard to predict because we just don't know. It's something we've not seen before, and I suppose that's the exciting thing about it, really, isn't it? But a score prediction for you, Jay. How do you see the game going?
We haven't played at Portman Road probably since you and I were both young. That's gone back many years, Adam, is it not?
It's 90s, mate. 90s was the
Yeah.
last time we played there. And I think Giggs and Cantona scored on that day.
So 90s, yeah. So I'm probably still in school or university at that stage. So yeah, very, very fucking young. Look at I'll go on purely red spectacles now. I'll go 2-0 purely on red spectacles. But if we get a draw at Portman Road, I'm not going to tear my hair out on Sunday night. All I want to see is an actual performance. I've said many times, Adam, I want to see performances.
Yeah.
So if it's a draw, if it's a 1-1 draw, whatever, and it's a good game of football and something to build on, I'm not going to lose my head.
No, I don't think many people will, and I think there's many people in the same sort of boat as you on this one, Jay. But we have another super chat in with a question from You Got Raws, who says, Jay, do you think Højlund is salvageable at 21 years old, or do you push for a known goal scorer like Gyökeres in the summer? That's it, Jay, really. Do you trust in a player and his potential, or do we need goals now?
We definitely need goals now. Do I trust in his potential? Yes. Will it be realised? No, unless he learns from a senior striker. And we said it in the show many times.
Double A is correct. Says we played in 01-02. I just can't remember. It's that far along. I remember Ipswich as a force was back in the 90s. That was about it. I can't even remember him on that. That's when United were just crushing absolutely everything at a canter. That's all I can remember of them days. But Ipswich will be a very raucous, atmospheric, and I won't say hostile, but I think they've been more than up for it. Obviously, McKenna coming back as well, backed into the fold. Jay, I mean, have you got any fears with Ipswich and what they can bring to the table? Is it a case of what McKenna knows about United and certain players? He said in his press conference as well, Jay, that he has been looking into United and how Amorim plays and his systems. He doesn't expect too much of a change. He thinks there's going to be some Ten Hag elements in this game this weekend.
I hope he's wrong. If that question was asked to me a month ago under the previous regime, I'd be tipping McKenna to win at home. But based on the aforementioned new manager bounce and whatnot, I do think I want a performance, Adam. I do believe we'll get a performance. I sincerely do.
Yeah, we're going to get a reaction out of these players. We definitely are. 100%. I mean, I can see in the chat there plenty of people giving their sort of verdicts, and Double A's gone with 3-0 United. He thinks Rashford 100% starts as well in that game. Quickly, guys, actually, in the chat, just go for it now for the last part of the show. Just go in, Rashford or Højlund. What are you going with for that? For anybody asking, I think someone said Gyökeres' age in the chat. Yeah, he's 26 at the moment. We had 4 top strikers, so probably need to buy at least one more striker. Just want everyone playing, fighting for one another, something we haven't had for a long time. Look, Amorim alluded to that. Like, everybody reacting in exactly the same way. We lose the ball, and everyone just responds instantly. They all know what to do when one player loses the ball. We've seen it in training as well, and I think that was important in this as well. But in terms of expectations, Jay, he says he's not looking at the top 4. He understands what the club expect. He understands that everybody thinks United should at least be in the top 4. But at the moment, all he can do is go game by game. His focus is on winning that game, winning the next game. I'll get your thoughts on that. But on top of that, as a bit of a double header, his thought on time. You have to win time. Now, if I know you right, Jay, I think you'll be all over a comment like that. But in terms of the top 4 and going game by game, and then Amorim's comment about, I'm not going to say I need time. You have to win games at United, so winning gives you time. Give me your response to that, buddy.
I think it's probably one of the most profound and honest comments I've heard from a manager's mouth in many, many years. He knows that he only has a 2-year deal.
Mm-hmm. He alluded to that as well.
Yeah, if he's sitting in 6th place in 2 years' time, he knows he's out the door. And he's fully aware of that fact.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a very insightful comment on his behalf. He knows that he's playing, he is literally managing already for a new contract. So he already feels the pressure. He won't admit to it, but he knows that right now, unless I have his club turn around the next 2 years, I'm out the door.
Yep, 100% agree with that one, mate. I feel like he understands his time that he's got. It's going to take longer, but for now he needs to win, and he needs time for these players to learn his system while winning. I think that was key in all of it. It's like he knows what's expected, but he also knows he cannot get it perfect yet. It's going to take time. And in terms of recruitment, Jay, players will only come in after he has assessed every one of these players through this season. He will tap into the younger players. He will use the academy because he wants them to train exactly the same way. He wants them to work and play to the same philosophy and style of football as well. And I think that's important as well. We've got a couple of young strikers coming through at the moment who are smashing it, Jay, as well. You just don't know within a season. When you've got a manager who is open to everything, I think it gives you hope that even if you see players struggling right now, you can see someone else coming through under the same system and same rules and identity that he's creating and just going on there and trying to do better than the next person. But you said it then. Then players on Sunday will be looking to that bench and going, I can't. And we all know in business, in life, competition, Jay, is what pushes you to the limit and what pushes you to bring out the max. And I think you know that yourself, mate. If there's one person better on that stage, you need to go away the next year, come back and be even better, don't you? It's about competition, and how that culture has been disregarded so badly at Manchester United over the last few years. It's one thing I'll never understand about this fan base and the standards of where we have dropped to. And that, for me, is killer and is everything right now. Ineos have to back him on that. Of course they do, but still, I look at it and say, at least we know what this guy wants to do. Beforehand, we didn't. But it is about the competition. You're at United. He understands this. You should know that your place is not safe.
I say one thing that you referenced there about competition, right? When I was at shows backstage, it was a very clear dichotomy, right? All the experienced lads, the top lads that know they're going to be 1, 2, and 3, are all in their own section together warming up. The middle of the pack lads gravitate to each other. And the lads that are there just wearing a goddamn number, happy to be on a stage, they gravitate to each other. The problem in our dressing room over the last 5 years, as we have festered a culture of accepting mediocrity. Where was a driver in the dressing room? Kicked us up the hole every day. It wasn't there. And now you have a manager coming in that will not accept that middle of the pack mindset or just happy to be wearing a jersey. He wants every one of those players to strive for top 4 and top honours. That's what he wants. But backstage, there was almost a very clear dichotomy. The top boys would almost gravitate to each other. Even though they're the boys, you know they're going to beat you, you're going to beat them. You're all in the same mindset and collective. And then the also-rans, they're just pushed to the back. And that's where they finish. And that's a big problem with our dressing room, my friend.
Yeah.
For many, many years.
100% agree on that, and I do understand it, actually. We're not far away from 200 live likes again, everybody. If we could get 36 more, we're there. Anyone who hasn't liked the video already, please do like it. Make sure you have subscribed as well so you miss out on none of the content going forwards. On the poll, we just put one up regarding Rasmus and Marcus Rashford. Who would you prefer? 70% are saying we'd go with Højlund. Double A made a great comment a minute ago. His heart is saying Rasmus, his head is saying Rashford. I think that's where we're at, because our head is that Rasmus is completely out of form. Rashford has the biggest point to prove out of anybody in this squad. And we all know the biggest bounce-back merchant at Manchester United is Marcus Rashford. And for the sake of getting points and wins on the board, and Ruben Amorim believing in him, I think Marcus Rashford is the one that's going to get the nod this weekend, Jake. And we will see. Redemption time again for Marcus, maybe. I don't know. How many times have we said that? 27.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I mean, he's got 4 goals this season. Right now, how many do you reckon Rashford's going to finish with?
Oh, great question. Great question.
Put everything into context, like the new manager, it's a clean slate for him. I've got to think of this as like, forget about all the negative Rashford. That's got to be gone. And right now I'm thinking new manager bounce Rashford, because we know what he is like. He does it every single time.
He's on 4, you said.
Yeah.
If Rashford finishes on 15, I will dye my hair pink and do a live show with you.
That's going to be something.
Okay?
Jay's going pink if Rashford hits 15 goals from now until the end of the season. Is that included the 4 he's got already, mate?
Oh, no, he's got to get 15 more goals.
So he's got to hit 19 for the season.
Yeah.
Oh, we might as well round it up to 20.
Okay, 20 goals. Is that fair?
Yeah, Stu said there, 20 or sell him. Maxi's saying we're going to need a pink J emoji for a badge on the chat as well, for the live chat. But yeah, it's a challenge that we've set him, and it's a challenge that he's going to have to take up now. Let's get just through a few more comments as well. Thanks for joining us on the video again, everybody. It's been a busy all day, third live stream of the day. Make sure that you do give the video a like and make sure you have subscribed as well. It's going to be a busy old weekend. And don't forget, in the chat, there is a link, in the description, there is a link, for Big Up, our watch-along platform, where we will be watching the game on Sunday against Ipswich. And then straight after that, me and Jay will be live with the breakdown show, breaking down a Manchester United win, I'm sure. Double A says in all comps, yes, all comps, mate. Rashford poaching 10 to 15 goals during the rest of the season gets them a nice transfer number for someone. Yeah, you go, Rod. He's all over that, to be honest. There's a few other people in the chat that said it as well, in terms of Rashford bumping his numbers up and then being sold on. I do think that top 4 could be possible. Do I think this will be a hard task? Other teams will be very aware of what's happening at United, and each club above us will be raising their game. I mean, but everyone above us has still got to play each other, and everyone's going to take points off each other. Jay, you mean 4 points off top 4, but 13th in the league? It's a weird old league table this season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very. Look at it. I don't think we can really judge the league table or standings until January the 5th.
That's after Liverpool.
After Liverpool, that is when I think that's a proper judge of exactly where we are.
By the way, Double A says, I'll dye my hair blue and join you and Jay on the pink and blue live stream if Rashford hits 20 goals from now until the end of the season total. So he needs to score 16 more goals, basically, is what we're saying. And then we're going to have what can only be described as the Smurfs show, basically, going on here. That's what it's going to be, isn't it? I mean, if someone pick a colour for me as well, I'll have to join in, obviously, with that one. But, yeah, we're going to be counting them goals down every time Rashford scores now. I think everyone's going to be tuned in with more sort of intent on the United games, especially if Rashford's playing anyway. But that is it for the show, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again. Like I said, third time today. You're legends, a lot of you. Your commitment is brilliant. I really do appreciate every single one of you. Green hair for me, says Double A. Okay, green, blue and pink it is. Proper Smurf time. The Smurf, everybody. That's what's happening. Give the video a like on the way out. That should take us to 200 live likes. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you have subscribed as well. Jay, thank you again for coming on, my friend. Absolute legend. Can't wait to be speaking to you on Sunday after a proper game of football.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a game, really, for the first time in many, many years.
You're not the first person to say that, Jay. You're really not.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Kaz has said exactly the same thing to me. She's found her love for United again and wants to watch United. That's what was missing before. And that finishes our show. Like, share and subscribe, everybody. I'll see you bright and early in the morning for your roundup with everything leading into this mega weekend.